Good morning, everyone. My name is Derek Benish. I'm the Associate Dean in Global Learning. At the time of this recording, it is a very beautiful October day, although we're still waiting for our rain for the fall. This is going live with Global Learning, and I'm joined today by Slav Sharapov, who is a math faculty at Kirkwood. Slav, if you wouldn't mind, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, pretty much all I remember my life, I've been doing math, right? And my dad was a math professor, and he, of course, pulled me in math. And a couple of times in my teenagerhood, I rebelled, but I would always come back to math. So that was my thing. But at one point, I started dancing as well, and that was my kind of secondary alter ego dancing.
Great.
Otherwise, yeah, I came to this country in 1992 to a grad school at North Dakota State University. And then after that, I have taught in Connecticut. And then 16 years I've been at Kirkwood.
At Kirkwood, yeah, great.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in a country that no longer exists, the Soviet Union. I was born in Russia, and ethnically I'm Russian, but when I was about 2 years old, my family moved to one of the Central Asian republics, Uzbekistan, and that's where I grew up. And yeah, went to school and finished my education.
Great. And so you mentioned dance. And I know
Yes.
that I have seen you doing some folk dance at some events and occasions at Kirkwood. What is it specifically about folk dance that kind of connects you to that interest? Why are you interested in dance?
I think first of all and foremost, I would say it's the music. Because it's most dances are very energetic. Of course, I have some regions of more interest, like for example, Romanian, especially with a gypsy style. If I hear that music, I cannot sit still. I kind of have to move, right? So music pulls me in, and of course, movement. I think it's beautiful. It's energizing. It's very intrinsic in people. You have some energetic music, and there's a baby who never had any experience, never had any learning, but you see that they start wiggling to the music. It's very natural for a human to move to the music.
Yeah. And I know, like, for me, I grew up in Cedar Rapids, and Cedar Rapids historically has kind of a Czech and Slovak kind of history to it. And so some of the weddings that I went to as a child featured like polka music actually for the receptions. And so I just kind of remember, polka is a type of folk music. So those are some of my earliest memories. So I'm kind of wondering about this notion of folk dance, folk music, and kind of connecting to people's kind of earliest memories or childhood memories or cultural memories.
It is traditional, and yes, most of it. And as I said, I grew up in the Soviet Union, and one thing that was good about that country is that they did show a lot of cultural stuff around. So on TV, we always would have music from different regions of the country and from other places of the world. So music, dance, and yeah, you grow up with it, and it's kind of like becomes part of you. And then when you have a chance to do it, you take it. Chance.
Yeah. And what in your experience or your thoughts are like the kind of the responsibility of the older generations to continue those traditions in the younger generations? Do you feel that kind of responsibility?
I'm not sure about responsibility, but in my experience, I see especially there's a group that does some folk dancing here locally. I'm talking about Cedar Rapids and Iowa City, and most of those people are older. Yes, it would be nice to involve young people and kind of get some continuation going, and I think some work is to be done there. But yeah, there are some dances. Of course, I'm familiar with quite a big variety of dances, and there are some that are kind of considered more social when you do not move much or do not move too vigorously. So while you're dancing with a simple enough steps, you can catch up with your neighbors and what's going on in your life. So kind of having conversation. But of course, there are some folk dances that kind of designed for a dancer to show off stuff like your vitality and your skill. And of course, those mostly can be done by younger dancers that have physical abilities. And while it is still kind of a thing back in the old world, like many dances that we do right now are actual dances that people do. In this country, particularly, there's some disconnect, and of course, I see that people who arrive from different countries, they do sometimes show interest in culture from their place of origin, but in general, like if people are not exposed to it, they kind of let it go. And yeah, I think that we have a possibility of losing it if not more young people would be involved.
Mm-hmm. 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 I was thinking about this interview driving in today, and one thing popped into my mind, and that was that so you're a math faculty, and as you mentioned, math has kind of been in your life since early on,
Right.
and then you kind of got into math. This is my observation from someone who is not an expert in folk dance, but I would consider you an expert in folk dance. So I'm asking you this. It seems to me, in watching folk dances, that there's these aspects of symmetry where oftentimes a particular set of movements will be on the right side or moving to the right, and then the same thing will be symmetrical and mirrored going to the left side. But then there's oftentimes also, it seems to me, where there's times when the symmetry is broken and there's something else that happens that's not then symmetrical. I'm just wondering about if you think in those ways as a mathematician.
Absolutely. That's why I think that dance is very mathematical, because it consists of patterns. Stereotypically, people think that math is all about numbers or formulas. No, it's about patterns, and there's all kinds of patterns. And yes, when they're simple, symmetric, you go one way, then you reverse, do the same the other way. It's easier to do. And as I said, this may be a part of a dance that you do not have to think much. But then there are more intricate patterns, and that's what makes a dance interesting to watch and interesting to dance. And yes, like when I call or teach dance, I say, okay, we do it a few times, but do not ask me how many times we do. I do not count. I listen to the music. And so when the music tells you, okay, what change needs to be done there. Mm-hmm. And of course, after dancing it a few times and knowing it, some muscle memory too. But yes, absolutely patterns, and the more complex and intricate patterns they are, the more interesting the dance is.
Great. And then so with folk dance also, is it usually, or is it almost always in groups? It's never like one person by themselves, or?
There are things where, especially as I said, when you kind of let some young people showing off, especially one for stage. In old world, they dance oftentimes during the weddings or any big celebration. And yes, there's always time for an individual to come to the center and shine. But yes, most of the dances, like for people to kind of for the recreation time, for entertaining, yes, it is. There's few types. There's a hora, which is a circle, and of course, circle could be the closed or open, right? And in this case, it doesn't really matter, like in what sequence you are. It doesn't have to alternate, say, man, woman, man, woman. There are line dances, especially with a more modern influence. I see more line dances, and there's always couple dances.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. This has been Going Live with Global Learning, and I was joined today by Slav Sharapov, professor of math here at Kirkwood.